Yo, what is up? So in this tutorial, we're going to go ahead and set up some crouching animations for our third-person animation little series we got going on here. So you'll be able to crouch, you can go under some things, and you'll be able to uncrouch, and yeah, should be fairly simple, so let's just hop into it. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to need some crouch animations. So I have a crouch pack called Simple Crouch Animations. It's fairly cheap. I'm pretty sure it used to be free, but it costs money now. But I think it's like $8. But yeah, I'm going to be using animations from that. So I already have a project created from it, so I'm just going to open this guy up so I can migrate the animations. And if you're doing anything similar, we're just going to do a simple migrate here. So I'm just going to select the folder here, right click, migrate, and click OK. And I'm just going to find my animation touch content, select folder, and it'll migrate all the stuff in that pack over to the project. And once that's done, we're just going to go ahead and open our main project. So let's go find that. All right, so once in our project, we're going to go find our animations, wherever you put yours. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go into 2 feet, and I'm just going to right click on this and retarget animations. We're going to choose our skeleton, and I'm going to type 2F because I'm going to use these animations from this pack. So the idle, and I'm gonna go ahead and get the idle plus all the walking animations. So I'm just gonna select all of these and export animations. Go to characters, CC4, animations. I'm gonna make a new folder in here called crouching, and I'm gonna export those to there. So export, and you see we now have our animations. So, easy enough. So the next thing we need to do like what we did for our main animations. We need to make a Blendspace. And we're going to make a Blendspace 1D because we're just gonna go one direction for now. So I'm going to right click here, go to animation, go to legacy, Blendspace 1D, and I'm going to choose our skeleton. I'm going to name this BS1D underscore crouch loco. And I'm going to open this guy up. We're going to name the axis value speed and maximum axis value. I'm just going to make my maximum walk speed when I crouch. I'm going to make that 300. So we'll set that as the max. We'll go ahead and set the smoothing time to 0.2 and the weight speed to 5. And then I'm just going to search over here for 2F to find the animations. I'm going to pull in the idle on the very far left, and then I'm going to pull in the walk forward, snap it to the front, and yeah, that's all we need to do here. So we'll close this guy, and next thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and somewhat start on the functionality because we need some variables to get our animation blueprint set up. So I'm going to go into the third person character blueprint, and we're going to make a variable here called is crouching, and we can compile that and save it, and we can go ahead and go into our characters, CC4 animations, ABP Clint, or whatever your animation blueprint is. We're going to go to the event graph, and we're going to change some things that we're doing here. So right here at the beginning where we're casting to the character, we're just going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to pull this guy right here back, and I'm going to press S on my keyboard to get a sequence. So the sequence, the way this works is it'll fire off everything on this list all at the same time. So I'm just going to plug this in right here, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to cast to third person, cast the BP third person character, plug this in right here, and I'm just going to duplicate this get owning actor and plug that into the object, and then I'm just going to pull off of this guy and promote it to a variable and name it player ref. So this is so we can get our variable that we just made, the is crouching variable, because we're going to need that to be able to properly animate it. And I'm just going to cover the comment on this. So Right here we have a sequence. We're just going to add a pin, and we're just going to pull in our player ref, and we're going to get is crouching. We're going to get that is crouching variable we just made, and we're just going to promote this guy to a variable, and I'm just going to organize it here and plug it into the sequence. And cool. So that's all we need to do there. We're going to go into our anim graph now, go into our main states, and we're going to pull off of our locomotion here, and we're going to add a state. We're going to call this crouching. And our transitionary rule, we're going to open this guy up. We can transition to that if we are crouching. And then we're going to pull from our crouching and back into our locomotion, and we're going to click on our transition here, and we're going to pull in our is crouching, and we're going to get it. But this time we want to make sure that we're not crouching. So you want to not bool, and just plug that guy in. So now we can transition in and out of it, but we need to set up the animation. So open the crouching state here, and we're going to find our BS1D crouching loco and plug this guy in. And we're just going to plug in our ground speed into the speed there, compile, save, and that should be everything we need to do in our animation blueprint for this. So we can just close this guy now. Next thing we need to do is we need an input for our crouching. So we're going to go do that real quick. So go to third person, input, actions, and I'm just going to duplicate the jump right here. And we're going to call this input IA underscore crouch. Then we're going to go back to the input folder, go to IMC default, and we're going to add a mapping here. And we're going to look for our input action crouch, and I'm going to make this the C key. You can make it whatever key you want, but I'm going to choose that one. And we can close that out. And now we're going to go back to our third person blueprint, and we're going to right click, and we're going to look for crouch. And you want the input action crouch. There's a bunch of these functions here. You don't want that. Let's just grab the input action crouch. And we're just going to open this guy up. Alright, so the first thing we want to do here is we're going to get our is crouching boolean. And we're going to press B on our keyboard and click, plug this guy in here. And we're going to check if we are crouching or if we're not crouching by default. And depending on if we are or if we aren't, we're going to do some different things. So I'm going to pull up my references here for what I did, just to make this go smoother. So I have a few custom events that I made, uncrouch and crouch. So we will work on the crouch first. So we're going to right click, we're going to make a custom event, and we're going to call this crouch custom. And what we want to do here is, first thing we want to do is we want to check if we're falling. So like if we are falling, we don't want to be able to crouch. So we're going to pull in our character movement, grab this guy, and we're going to grab is falling. And we're just going to click B on our keyboard and click, plug this into the condition. So we want to check this before anything, so just plug this guy in. And if we are not falling, that allows us to crouch, so we can set our is crouching to true. So pull that boolean in, set this guy to true. So now that puts us in crouching, and we're gonna just change our max walk speed, so that way we're not like, you know, running while we're crouched. So we're gonna pull our character movement in, and we're gonna set max walk speed. And I'm gonna set this guy to 300 because that's what we set our max horizontal axis in our Blendspace. So we're gonna do 300 for max walk speed, and then after this, we're gonna need to make two different timelines. We're gonna change the capsule half height, and we're gonna change the location of the mesh. And I'll kind of explain a bit about why we're doing that. So first, we're going to do a sequence because we want to fire these off at the same time. So first, we're going to change our capsule half height. So right now, we'll pull in our capsule component here. And just so you understand what capsule half height is, we'll click on this. And you see we have capsule half height here. If you change this, you see it shrinks down. It changes the height of the capsule. So I think that was at 90, so we'll set that back to 90. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull off this, and we're gonna say set half height, set capsule half height. And we're gonna set the half height to be half of what it already is. So it's 90. So we're gonna set this to be 45. And if we plug this in, this will already work. But you'll see some issues. So if we click it now, it will. It is not working. Oh, we didn't plug in our custom event. So let's plug in our custom event here. So crouch custom. So if right here, if we're not crouching, what we want to do is we want to crouch. We'll pull our crouch custom and plug this into the false. So now that should work. So now if we crouch, we'll see we crouch, but we go into the ground, and it also snaps really fast. So if you just press it, it just immediately snaps to crouching. Or the half height immediately snaps to be 45. So we're just gonna smooth that out a bit. So we're gonna right click. We're gonna make a timeline, and we'll just name this crouch, crouching half height, and we'll grab the plug from start, plug this into the sequence, and we'll plug the update into this. And we're just gonna double click on this and open it up. We're gonna make a float track. And we're just gonna call this half height. And I'm gonna set the length to be 0.5. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna shift click on this. We're gonna set the time to 0. So this is what we're gonna start at. So our half height by default is 90 right here. So we're going to set this guy to be 90 because what we want to do is over half a second, we want to go from what we're already at to what we want to be. So that way, you know, it transitions smoothly. So we're going to shift click again. We're going to set the time to 0.5. We're going to set the value to 45. And you click these two arrows to get a full view of what's going on here. And we're just going to highlight both of these and right click, and we're going to set these to auto so that way it's a bit more smooth. And that's all we need to do in here. So just close that guy. And we're going to plug our half height into the half height here. So now instead of just snapping to the half height, over half a second it'll go from what our half height is to what we want it to be. So just to show you that real quick, we press C now, you can see it goes down much more smooth, but we still have the issue of our legs are in the ground, so we need to fix that. Also, another example, I just want to give you show you an example of why we are changing the half height. So if I make this guy and pull this guy here, and let's just unplug this half height just to show you the example. So if I press C and try to go under it, you know, it doesn't go under because our capsule is still the size of what it was when it was covering our body when we were standing up. So that's why we change our half height of that. So that way it's not, you know, the collision of it isn't colliding with the top of things that you might be trying to go under. So you see now we can go under it. But now we're going to fix our location of our player going into the ground. So we're just going to duplicate this guy. So you can just Control C, Control V this timeline. And what we're going to do here is we're going to grab our character mesh, and we're going to pull off of this, and we're going to set location. We're going to set relative location. And we're going to right click on new location, and we're going to split struct because we only want to change one axis, and that's going to be the Z axis here. And we can just go ahead and plug in our update here. But we need to change some things in the timeline here because this is set for our half height. So the we're still going to leave it 0.5 on the length, but on the 0, instead of 90, we need to start from where our location is currently, which is -89. So grab this guy, -89. We're going to set that to -89. And we're going to set the end point, instead of 45, we're going to say -44. So now we're going from -89 location to -44. And we're just going to go back to the event graph, and you could change the name of that variable if you want, but I'm just going to leave it. So plug this into the Z location. So Z is, up and down. So we're going to change that as we are crouching. So if we go and check that, press C, crouch, and you see we no longer go into the ground, and we can go under this, and it looks okay. So now all we need to do is change being able to uncrouch now. So basically we just need to do everything we just did here, but we're just going to do the opposite of what we did. So I'm going to copy all of this and duplicate it. And I'm going to go ahead and just comment this section right here. We're going to call this crouching. And I'm going to make another custom event here. We're going to call this uncrouch custom. And I'm going to plug this guy in like that. So now we are no longer crouching. Let me just check my reference here. Uncrouch, yeah. Yep, cool. So yeah, now we're no longer crouching. Our max walk speed can go back to what our normal max walk speed is, which is by default 500. So I'm going to set this guy to 500. And now we just need to flip what we're doing in these timelines. So just open this top one. And we need to get this value to this location, and we need to get this value to this location to reverse what's going on here. So right here, 90, this is going to be 45 now. And now this one is going to be 90. Then we can go back to the event graph, open this guy up. And this guy is -89, and this one is -44. So we want to go to our first one here, set this one to -44. And our next one here is going to be -89. And that's all we need to do there. So we can now just plug in our is crouching. If we are crouching, we want to uncrouch custom. Plug this into our true. So if is crouching is true, we will uncrouch. If it's false, we will crouch. And let me just snag my other reference here, because I had some other things going on as well. Looks like nothing there. We're going to change some things with our jump, though, because we don't want to crouch and uncrouch if we're jumping. But we'll test this first. We'll go ahead and comment this, and we'll call this crouching. So let's test our uncrouch real quick. So if we press C, we crouch. If we press C again, we uncrouch, and we can go under. If you uncrouch under things, though, it'll still uncrouch you. You can do some things like doing a line trace when you're crouching to, check if something is directly above you and not allow yourself to uncrouch. We might go over that in a future video, but for now, this is fine. But yeah, you can crouch and uncrouch now, but now we need to fix, there's an issue if you're jumping, you can still crouch, or no, actually we already did that. So if you're crouched, you can jump, but your jump animation doesn't work, and you stay crouched. So we're gonna fix that. So we're just gonna pull, we're gonna make some room in our jump function here. We're gonna pull a jump back, and we're gonna check with a branch if we are crouching. So grab your is crouching boolean in, and if we are not crouching, then just jump. But if we are crouching, we want to pull in our uncrouch custom and uncrouch first and then jump. So now, if we go in and we crouch and we try to jump, it'll uncrouch you and you'll jump, and then you'll be back to your running, and you can go back to crouching. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. So if you like the video, hit the like button. If you have any other tutorials you would like to see, let me know those down in the comments. In the next one, we'll go over 8-way directional locomotion. So we'll set up 8-way directions for our main locomotion and our crouching locomotion. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.